What if your doubts weren't holding you back, but instead, they were the very thing propelling you forward? Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This idea, rooted in Stoic philosophy, challenges us to see doubt not as a weakness, but as an opportunity to cultivate unshakable confidence. In a world filled with uncertainty, where self-doubt often feels like a constant companion, the ancient wisdom of Stoicism offers a powerful toolkit to silence those inner critics and build resilience from within. Today, we'll explore how cognitive reframing, acceptance, and resilience, core principles of Stoic confidence, can help you transform doubt into a stepping stone for growth. Whether you're facing professional challenges, personal struggles, or simply the everyday noise of self-doubt, these techniques can empower you to navigate life with clarity and courage. Let's dive in and uncover how you can harness Stoic confidence to reshape your mindset and take control of your reality. Stoicism begins with a simple yet profound truth: not everything is within your power. This idea, often referred to as the Dichotomy of Control, is one of the cornerstones of Stoic philosophy. It teaches us to clearly separate what we can influence from what we cannot. By doing this, we free ourselves from the weight of trying to control the uncontrollable, a habit that often fuels doubt and anxiety. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it this way: "Some things are within our power while others are not." Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. What he's saying is that our thoughts, actions, and reactions are ours to shape. But external outcomes, other people's opinions, or even the weather, those are beyond our control. The moment we accept this distinction, we start to reclaim our mental energy and focus it where it truly matters. Think about a common modern scenario: work stress. Many of us feel overwhelmed when we fixate on outcomes like whether we'll get a promotion, how our boss perceives us, or if a project will succeed. But Stoicism invites us to shift our attention to what we can control: our effort, preparation, and attitude. By focusing on these, we not only reduce unnecessary stress, but also build confidence in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. It's not about ignoring the outcome, it's about not letting it dictate our peace of mind. So, what doubts are you holding onto that stem from things beyond your control? Are you worrying about how others perceive you, or whether a situation will turn out exactly as you hope? By identifying these doubts and asking yourself, "Is this within my power?" you can begin to redirect your energy toward what truly matters. This simple shift can be transformative, helping you move from a place of uncertainty to one of grounded confidence. Stoics believed that our thoughts shape our reality. What if you could reshape yours? This is where cognitive reframing comes into play, a powerful Stoic technique that allows you to transform negative thoughts into opportunities for growth. Instead of letting doubts overwhelm you, you can reframe them as challenges that push you to become stronger and more resilient. Think of it like this: every doubt, every setback is not a roadblock but a stepping stone. Stoicism teaches us that it's not the event itself that troubles us, but how we interpret it, and that interpretation, it's entirely within your control. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." What he meant was that our fears and doubts are often exaggerated by our minds. But when you reframe those thoughts, you take away their power. For example, let's say you're afraid of failing at a new project. Instead of seeing failure as a disaster, reframe it as a chance to learn. What if failure isn't the end but the beginning of growth? By shifting your perspective, you turn a source of anxiety into a source of motivation. Let's bring this to life with a practical example. Imagine you've been passed over for a promotion. Your first thought might be, "I'm not good enough." but what if you reframed it as, this is an opportunity to identify areas where I can improve and come back stronger? Suddenly, the situation isn't about defeat, it's about development. That's the essence of cognitive reframing, seeing the silver lining in every cloud and using it to build confidence. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you reinterpret a current doubt as a chance to grow? Take a moment to think about it. What's one thing you've been unsure about lately, and how can you reframe it as an opportunity? Remember, the Stoics didn't just endure challenges, they used them to become better. And with this mindset, you can too. The present moment is the only place where true confidence lives. Think about it. Doubt thrives when we're stuck replaying past mistakes or worrying about what might happen in the future. But here's the truth, neither the past nor the future is within your control. What you can control is how you show up right here, right now. This is the essence of Stoic mindfulness, focusing on the present moment where your power resides. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, put it this way: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. These words remind us that our doubts often stem from fixating on things we can't change. The past is gone and the future is uncertain, but the present, that's where you can act, decide, and shape your reality. Let's take a practical example. Imagine you're about to give a speech, and those familiar pangs of stage fright start creeping in. Your mind races with thoughts like, what if I mess up? Or what if they don't like me? These doubts are rooted in future anxieties, pulling you away from the moment. The Stoic approach brings your attention back to the task at hand. Focus on your breathing, the words you're about to say, or the purpose behind your message. By anchoring yourself in the present, you silence the noise of doubt and step into a place of calm confidence. Now consider this: what doubts arise when you lose focus on the present moment? Do you find yourself overanalyzing past mistakes or worrying about outcomes that haven't even happened yet? The more we practice staying present, the more we realize that doubt loses its grip when we stop feeding it with distractions. The present moment isn't just a refuge, it's the foundation of Stoic confidence. And the more you cultivate this mindset, the more you'll find that doubts simply don't stand a chance. Acceptance isn't surrender, it's the foundation of true strength. Think about it, when we resist what's happening in our lives, we're fighting against the current of reality itself. That resistance doesn't just drain our energy, it feeds our doubts, leaving us stuck in a cycle of frustration and uncertainty. But here's the Stoic twist: acceptance isn't about giving up or admitting defeat. It's about seeing the world as it is, not as we wish it to be, and finding the clarity to move forward with purpose. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's great teachers, put it simply: make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. In other words, focus on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your attitude, and let go of what you can't. That's where confidence begins. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing the imperfections and still choosing to act with intention. Let's bring this to life with an example. Imagine you've just lost your job. The initial reaction might be panic, frustration, or even anger. But resisting that reality, constantly replaying what went wrong or wishing things were different, only amplifies your doubts. Instead, acceptance allows you to step back and ask, what's next? Maybe it's updating your resume, exploring new opportunities, or even taking time to reflect on what you truly want from your career. Acceptance clears the fog of resistance and gives you the mental space to take meaningful action. So here's a question to sit with: what reality are you resisting that's feeding your doubts? Is it a situation at work, a relationship, or maybe even a personal goal that feels out of reach? By acknowledging it, you're not admitting defeat, you're building the foundation for Stoic confidence. And that's where true strength lies. Stoics believe that true confidence comes from living in alignment with virtue. This might sound abstract at first, but when we break it down, it's a powerful idea. Virtue in Stoic philosophy isn't just about being morally good. It's about cultivating qualities like courage, wisdom, justice, and self-discipline. These virtues act as a foundation for confidence because they guide us toward actions that align with our deepest values. When we act virtuously, we're less likely to second-guess ourselves because we know we're doing what's right, even if it's difficult. Take courage, for example. Courage isn't just about facing physical danger. It's about confronting fear and uncertainty in everyday life. When we act courageously, whether it's speaking up for what we believe in or taking a risk to pursue a goal, we build a sense of inner strength. This strength silences the doubts that whisper, "What if I fail?" because we've already proven to ourselves that we can face challenges head-on. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, put it this way: "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be." B1. This quote cuts right to the heart of the matter. It's not enough to simply think about virtue or debate its merits. True confidence comes from embodying virtue in our actions, from making choices that reflect our commitment to living well. Let's bring this to life with a practical example. Imagine you're at work and you notice a colleague being unfairly treated. Speaking up might risk your own reputation or create tension, but staying silent goes against your sense of justice. The Stoic approach would be to act with courage and integrity, even if it's uncomfortable. By choosing virtue over convenience, you not only stand up for what's right, but also reinforce your own confidence. You prove to yourself that you can handle difficult situations with grace and principle. So, how can living virtuously help you silence your doubts? Think about the moments when you felt the most uncertain. Were you acting in alignment with your values, or were you compromising them? When we live virtuously, we create a solid foundation of self-trust. We know that no matter what happens, we've done our best to act with integrity. And that kind of confidence isn't easily shaken. It's not about perfection, it's about progress, about striving to be a little better each day, and that's something we can all work toward. What if facing your fears head-on could make them powerless? It might sound counterintuitive, but this is exactly what the Stoic practice of negative visualization offers. By imagining the worst-case scenarios in your life, you're not inviting disaster, you're disarming fear and doubt before they can take hold. This technique isn't about dwelling on negativity. It's about building mental resilience by preparing yourself for whatever life throws your way. The Stoics believed that by visualizing potential challenges or losses, we strip them of their power to surprise or overwhelm us. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it this way: "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" In other words, when you confront your fears in your mind, you realize that even the worst outcomes are often more manageable than they seem. Let's bring this into a practical context. Imagine you're about to have a difficult conversation with someone, a boss, a friend, or a loved one. The thought of it might fill you with anxiety, right? But what if, instead of avoiding that fear, you sat down and visualized the worst that could happen? Maybe the conversation doesn't go well, maybe emotions flare up, or the outcome isn't what you hoped for. Now, ask yourself, even if that happens, how will you respond? What steps can you take to handle the situation with composure? By rehearsing these scenarios in your mind, you're not just preparing for the worst, you're also building the confidence to navigate it. This practice isn't about pessimism, it's about empowerment. When you've already faced your fears in your imagination, the real-life version often feels far less intimidating. It's like training for a marathon. You push yourself in practice so that when race day comes, you're ready. So take a moment to reflect. What fear or doubt is holding you back right now? What's the worst that could happen if you faced it head-on? And more importantly, how might you prepare yourself to handle it with strength and clarity? Negative visualization isn't just a Stoic exercise, it's a tool for reclaiming your confidence and quieting the doubts that keep you stuck. Stoics believe that unfulfilled desires are the root of much doubt. Think about it. When we chase things outside our control, like approval from others or material success, we set ourselves up for frustration. Why? Because these external outcomes are unpredictable. They depend on factors we can't fully influence, leaving us vulnerable to disappointment and self-doubt. But here's the Stoic solution. Align your desires with what's truly within your power. Focus on your own growth, your character, and your ability to respond to life's challenges with resilience. When you do this, you take back control, and that's where confidence begins to flourish. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's great teachers, put it simply: freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. This idea is transformative. It's not about giving up on ambition or living a life without goals. It's about choosing goals that align with your internal values, goals that you can pursue regardless of external circumstances. For instance, instead of striving for external validation, focus on becoming the kind of person who acts with integrity and kindness, no matter what others think. That's a goal no one can take away from you. Let's bring this to life with a practical example. Imagine you're working on a project and you're constantly worried about whether your boss or colleagues will approve of your efforts. That anxiety stems from a desire for external validation, something outside your control. But what if you shifted your focus? What if you concentrated on doing your best work, learning from the process, and growing your skills? Suddenly, the doubt fades because you're no longer dependent on others' opinions. You're grounded in your own effort and progress, and that's something you can always feel confident about. So, here's a question to reflect on. What desires are causing you unnecessary doubt? Are you chasing something that's outside your control, like a promotion, a relationship outcome, or someone else's approval? Take a moment to consider how you might reframe those desires. How can you shift your focus inward toward goals that are truly within your power? When you do, you'll find that doubt loses its grip and confidence takes its place. This is the discipline of desire, a practice that not only quiets doubt but also builds unshakable self-assurance. Detachment doesn't mean indifference, it means freedom. It's about releasing the tight grip we often have on the results of our actions, not because we don't care, but because we understand that outcomes are often beyond our control. The Stoics saw this as a key to inner peace. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." These words remind us that our focus should be on what we can influence: our thoughts, actions, and responses, not on the unpredictable twists of life. Think of it this way: when you post something on social media, do you find yourself constantly checking for likes or comments? That craving for validation can become a source of doubt, making you question your worth or the value of what you shared. But what if you shifted your mindset? What if you posted because you believed in the message, not because you needed the approval of others? That's detachment in action. It's not about ignoring the outcome entirely, but about refusing to let it dictate your self-worth or peace of mind. So let me ask you this: what outcomes are you too attached to that fuel your doubts? Is it a promotion you're chasing, a relationship you're trying to fix, or maybe even a goal you feel defines your success? When we tie our happiness to these external results, we give doubt the power to creep in. But by practicing detachment, we reclaim that power. We learn to focus on the process, on doing our best, and on accepting whatever comes with grace. This isn't about giving up. It's about stepping into a mindset of resilience and freedom, and that, my friends, is where true confidence begins. Stoics believe that self-awareness is the first step to silencing doubt. Think about it. How can you confront what you don't even recognize? The practice of self-examination, a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, is about shining a light on the corners of your mind where doubts and fears often hide. By regularly reflecting on your thoughts, actions, and emotions, you gain clarity and begin to dismantle the uncertainties that hold you back. One of the most powerful tools for this is journaling. Writing down your thoughts forces you to slow down and examine them more deeply. It's like holding up a mirror to your mind. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, once said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." This isn't just a dramatic statement, it's a call to action. When you take the time to reflect, you start to see patterns in your thinking. Maybe you realize that certain fears are rooted in past experiences, or that doubts arise when you're comparing yourself to others. Journaling helps you untangle these threads and understand what's really going on beneath the surface. Here's a practical example. Imagine you're feeling anxious about an upcoming presentation. Instead of letting that anxiety fester, you sit down with your journal and write about it. You ask yourself, why am I nervous? Is it fear of failure or judgment or something else? As you write, you might uncover that your doubts aren't about the presentation itself, but about a deeper fear of not being good enough. Once you've identified that, you can address it head-on, perhaps by reminding yourself of past successes or focusing on the value you bring. So, what doubts might you uncover through self-reflection? Take a moment to consider this. What's been lingering in the back of your mind, quietly eroding your confidence? The act of reflecting isn't about dwelling on your fears. It's about understanding them so you can move forward with greater clarity and strength. When you make self-examination a regular habit, you're not just silencing doubts, you're building a foundation of unshakable confidence. Resilience isn't about avoiding failure, it's about rising after it. Think about that for a moment. Failure, setbacks, and challenges aren't obstacles to avoid, they're opportunities to grow stronger. This is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics didn't just endure hardship, they embraced it, seeing it as a way to sharpen their character and deepen their resilience. As Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That's the essence of Stoic resilience, a mindset that transforms adversity into fuel for growth. Imagine you faced a personal setback. Maybe a project didn't go as planned, or a relationship ended unexpectedly. At first, it feels like a blow, something that knocks you off balance. But here's where Stoic resilience comes in. Instead of seeing this as a failure, you can choose to see it as a moment to practice patience, to rebuild, and to learn. The Stoics believed that every challenge is a teacher, offering lessons in strength, adaptability, and perspective. When you shift your mindset this way, doubt doesn't disappear, but it loses its power to paralyze you. Let's take it a step further. Think about how athletes train. They don't become stronger by avoiding weights, they lift them over and over until their muscles adapt and grow. In the same way, resilience is built through repeated exposure to difficulty. Each time you face a challenge and push through, you're strengthening your mental and emotional endurance. The Stoics called this amor fati, or the love of fate. It's about embracing whatever life throws your way, not because it's easy, but because it's essential for growth. So, how can you build resilience in the face of doubt? Start small. Reflect on a recent challenge and ask yourself, what did I learn from this? How did it make me stronger? Over time, these reflections help you reframe setbacks as stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. Resilience isn't about being unshakable. It's about knowing that you can rise no matter how many times you fall. And that's a power no doubt can take away. Even Stoics knew that no one conquers doubt alone. While they often emphasized self-reliance and inner strength, they also understood the profound importance of community and supportive relationships. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What's bad for the hive is bad for the bee." This simple yet powerful idea reminds us that we're not meant to face life's challenges in isolation. The Stoics believed that shared wisdom, encouragement, and even constructive criticism from others could help us build the confidence needed to silence our doubts. Think about it. When you're wrestling with uncertainty, turning to someone you trust can provide clarity you might not find on your own. A mentor, a friend, or even a group of like-minded individuals can offer perspectives that challenge your limiting beliefs and help you see a path forward. For instance, imagine you're struggling with a major decision at work. Instead of spiraling into self-doubt, you reach out to a colleague or mentor who's faced a similar situation. Their guidance not only helps you make a more informed choice, but also reinforces your belief in your ability to handle challenges. This is the kind of support the Stoics valued, not dependency, but collaboration that strengthens your resolve. They saw community as a mirror, reflecting back your strengths and helping you recognize areas for growth. So, who in your life can help you silence your doubts? Is there someone whose wisdom you trust, or a group that inspires you to stay grounded and focused? Building these connections isn't a sign of weakness. It's a way to cultivate resilience and confidence, just as the Stoics did. By leaning on others when needed, you're not abandoning self-reliance, you're expanding it. You're creating a network of support that helps you face challenges with greater clarity and courage. This is how community becomes a tool for growth, helping you quiet the noise of doubt and step forward with purpose. Gratitude is the antidote to doubt's poison. When doubts creep in, they often magnify what we lack or fear, pulling us into a spiral of uncertainty. But the Stoics understood something profound. Gratitude has the power to reframe our perspective, shifting our focus from scarcity to abundance. Instead of dwelling on what's missing or what could go wrong, gratitude invites us to recognize what's already present, what's working, what's good, and what's within our control. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it beautifully: "He who is not satisfied with a little is satisfied with nothing." This isn't just a call to be content. It's a reminder that gratitude isn't about having everything. It's about appreciating what you have, no matter how small. When we practice gratitude, we train our minds to see the value in the present moment, even when it feels imperfect or uncertain. Let's bring this to life with an example. Imagine you're facing a setback at work. A project didn't go as planned and you're doubting your abilities. Instead of fixating on the failure, take a moment to reflect on what you can be grateful for. Maybe it's the support of a colleague who stood by you, the lessons you learned from the experience, or even the opportunity to try again. By focusing on these aspects, you're not ignoring the challenge, you're reframing it. You're choosing to see the abundance in the situation rather than the lack. So, here's a question to ponder. What can you be grateful for, even in the face of doubt? It doesn't have to be something grand. It could be as simple as the warmth of the sun on your face, a kind word from a friend, or the fact that you have the strength to face another day. Gratitude doesn't erase doubt, but it does give you a tool to diminish its power. It reminds you that even in uncertainty, there's always something to appreciate, and that shift in focus can be the foundation of Stoic confidence. Action is the bridge between doubt and confidence. It's the moment when you stop letting fear hold you back and start moving forward, even if the steps are small. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that overthinking, worrying, and hesitating only feed doubt, while action, no matter how minor, builds momentum and confidence. As Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, don't let the fear of failure or judgment stop you from taking that first step. Progress isn't about perfection, it's about movement. Think about it. When you're stuck in a cycle of doubt, what happens? You replay scenarios in your head, you second-guess your decisions, and you dwell on all the things that could go wrong. But here's the thing, nothing changes until you act. Even the smallest action can shift your mindset. For example, maybe you've been putting off starting a new project because you're afraid it won't be good enough. The Stoic approach would be to start anyway. Write that first sentence, sketch that first idea, or take that first phone call. The act of doing something, however small, breaks the grip of doubt and replaces it with a sense of accomplishment. This isn't just theory, it's a practical tool you can use every day. Let's say you're nervous about having a difficult conversation. Instead of rehearsing every possible outcome in your mind, take one small step. Write down what you want to say. That simple act shifts your focus from fear to clarity. Or maybe you're unsure about a new skill you're learning. Instead of worrying about whether you'll ever master it, commit to practicing for just 10 minutes. Action, even in tiny doses, builds confidence because it proves to yourself that you can move forward despite uncertainty. So, here's a question to reflect on. What small action can you take today to silence a doubt? It doesn't have to be grand or life-changing. It could be as simple as sending an email you've been avoiding, making a decision you've been putting off, or even just acknowledging a fear out loud. Remember, the Stoics didn't wait for confidence to appear, they created it through action, and you can too. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a victory over doubt. What if remembering your mortality could free you from doubt? At first, it might sound counterintuitive, even unsettling to think about the fact that life is finite. But for the Stoics, this practice, known as memento mori, Latin for remember you must die, was a powerful tool for cutting through the noise of daily anxieties and doubts. It wasn't about dwelling on death in a morbid way, but rather using the awareness of life's impermanence as a lens to focus on what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most revered figures, often contemplated this idea. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This isn't a call to live in fear, but an invitation to live with intention." When you recognize that your time is limited, the doubts that once seemed so overwhelming, like fear of failure, hesitation, or the opinions of others, begin to lose their grip. They simply don't hold the same weight when measured against the vastness of life's impermanence. Think about it this way: when you're faced with a big decision or a moment of uncertainty, ask yourself, will this matter in a year? In 5 years, or even at the end of my life? Often the answer is no. The doubts that paralyze us are usually tied to things that, in the grand scheme, are fleeting. By reflecting on mortality, you're not diminishing the importance of your actions, you're clarifying them. You're choosing to focus on what truly aligns with your values and purpose. Here's a practical example. Imagine you're struggling with self-doubt about pursuing a passion project. Maybe you're worried about what others will think or whether you'll fail. Now picture yourself looking back at your life decades from now. Would you regret not trying? Would you wish you had given it your all, regardless of the outcome? Chances are, the fear of failure would pale in comparison to the regret of never having taken the chance. That's the clarity memento mori can bring. So, what doubts would fade if you remembered life's impermanence? What would you do differently if you saw your time as the precious, finite resource it is? The Stoics believed that embracing this truth doesn't make life heavier, it makes it lighter. It strips away the unnecessary, leaving you free to act with confidence and purpose. And in that space, doubt doesn't stand a chance. Not every thought deserves your belief. This is one of the core principles of Stoicism, and it's a game changer when it comes to silencing doubts. The Stoics called this practice the discipline of assent. It's about learning to pause and evaluate the thoughts that pop into your mind before you accept them as truth. Think of it as a mental filter, a way to separate what's worth holding onto from what's better left behind. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, put it this way: "You are not your thoughts. You are the one who decides whether to accept them or not." In other words, just because a thought crosses your mind doesn't mean it deserves your attention or energy. Imagine your mind as a courtroom, and every thought is a case being presented. Your job is to serve as the judge, carefully weighing the evidence before you give your verdict. Let's take a practical example. Say you're working on a project and a thought pops up: "I'm not good enough to finish this." Instead of letting that thought take over, you pause. You ask yourself, is this true? What evidence supports it? What contradicts it? More often than not, you'll find that the thought isn't based on facts but on fear or insecurity. By questioning it, you strip it of its power. This practice isn't about suppressing thoughts or pretending they don't exist. It's about acknowledging them without letting them control you. The more you practice this kind of discernment, the less room there is for doubt to take root. So here's a question to reflect on. What thought are you accepting that fuels your doubt? Is it a belief about your abilities, your worth, or your future? Take a moment to examine it. Does it hold up under scrutiny, or is it just a story you've been telling yourself? By mastering the discipline of assent, you reclaim control over your mind. You stop letting doubt dictate your decisions and start choosing thoughts that empower you instead. It's a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice, but the more you do it, the stronger your Stoic confidence becomes. Humility isn't weakness, it's the foundation of true confidence. At first glance, humility might seem like the opposite of confidence, but in Stoic philosophy, it's actually the cornerstone of building a strong, unshakable sense of self. The Stoics believed that humility allows us to see ourselves clearly, free from the illusions of ego or pride. It's about recognizing our limitations, accepting our imperfections, and understanding that we're always a work in progress. This self-awareness, far from making us feel small, actually empowers us to grow and face challenges with clarity. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it this way: "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity. For he is not permitted to prove himself." What does this mean? It's a reminder that humility isn't about shrinking away from life. It's about embracing it fully, even the hard parts. When we admit we don't have all the answers, we open ourselves to learning. When we acknowledge our mistakes, we create space for improvement. Humility grounds us in reality, and in doing so, it silences the doubts that arise from comparing ourselves to impossible standards or pretending we're infallible. Think about a time when you made a mistake, maybe at work, in a relationship, or even in a personal goal. It's uncomfortable, right? But what happens when you admit that mistake, take responsibility, and learn from it? Suddenly, the doubt that comes from trying to hide or justify your error starts to fade. You're no longer weighed down by the fear of being found out. Instead, you're free to move forward, stronger and wiser. That's the power of humility. So, how can humility help you confront your doubts? Start by asking yourself, where am I trying to appear perfect and why? What would happen if I let go of that need to seem flawless? When you approach your doubts with humility, you're not running from them or masking them with false confidence. You're facing them head-on with the understanding that growth comes from acknowledging where you are not where you wish you were. Humility isn't about diminishing yourself, it's about giving yourself the gift of honesty, and in that honesty, finding true strength. What if you could love every twist and turn of your journey? This is the essence of amor fati, a powerful Stoic practice that invites us to not just accept but truly embrace our fate, no matter how challenging or unexpected it may be. At its core, amor fati, Latin for love of fate, teaches us to see every experience, whether joyful or painful, as an integral part of our growth. It's about shifting our perspective from resisting life's difficulties to finding meaning and opportunity within them. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most revered figures, once wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." This simple yet profound statement captures the spirit of amor fati. Just as a fire transforms whatever it touches into light and warmth, we too can transform adversity into strength and wisdom. Instead of viewing setbacks as obstacles, we can see them as fuel for our personal growth. Let's bring this idea to life with a practical example. Imagine you've been passed over for a promotion at work. At first, it feels like a crushing blow, a clear signal that you're not good enough. But what if you chose to love this outcome? What if, instead of dwelling on disappointment, you asked yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this experience make me stronger or more resilient? By practicing amor fati, you might discover that this setback pushes you to refine your skills, explore new opportunities, or even reassess your true passions. Now think about your own life. How can you practice amor fati in your current situation? Are there challenges you've been resisting or frustrations you've been holding onto? What if you chose to see them not as burdens but as stepping stones? This doesn't mean ignoring pain or pretending everything is perfect. It means finding value in the struggle, trusting that even the hardest moments are shaping you into a more resilient, capable version of yourself. Amor fati is more than just a Stoic principle. It's a way of living that silences doubt by reminding us that every experience, good or bad, has a purpose. When we learn to love our fate, we stop fighting against life and start flowing with it, finding strength in the very things we once feared. In silence, we find the clarity to confront our doubts. The Stoics knew this well. They understood that stillness isn't just the absence of noise, but a powerful tool for introspection and growth. When the world feels chaotic and our minds are clouded with uncertainty, it's in those quiet moments that we can truly hear ourselves. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" This practice of stepping back, of creating space for silence, allows us to question our doubts and see them for what they truly are, often just fleeting thoughts, not the immovable truths we imagine them to be. Think about it. When was the last time you allowed yourself to sit in complete stillness, free from distractions? Maybe it was during a walk in nature, or perhaps in the early hours of the morning before the world woke up. In those moments, the noise of doubt quiets down and you're left with a clearer perspective. Meditation is one practical way to cultivate this stillness. By focusing on your breath or a simple mantra, you create a mental space where doubt can't easily take root. It's not about eliminating all thoughts, but about observing them without judgment, letting them pass like clouds in the sky. So, what doubts might silence help you resolve? Is it the fear of failure, the uncertainty about the future, or the nagging feeling that you're not enough? Whatever it is, silence gives you the chance to confront it head-on, not with panic or despair, but with calm and clarity. The next time doubt creeps in, try this. Set aside just 5 minutes to sit quietly, breathe deeply, and listen. You might be surprised at how much easier it is to face your doubts when you meet them in the stillness. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it. This simple yet profound idea lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics saw courage as one of the 4 cardinal virtues, a cornerstone of living a meaningful and resilient life. But what does courage look like in the face of doubt? Doubt, after all, is a natural part of being human. It creeps in when we're uncertain, when we're afraid of failure, or when we worry about what others might think. Courage, according to the Stoics, is the tool that allows us to push through that doubt, to take action even when we feel unsure. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, once said, Courage isn't just about bravery in battle, it's about facing the small, everyday fears that hold us back. Think about that for a moment. It's easy to admire the courage of someone running into a burning building, but what about the courage it takes to speak up in a meeting when your voice shakes, or to pursue a dream even when you're terrified of failing? These are the moments where Stoic courage shines. It's not about eliminating fear, it's about refusing to let fear dictate your actions. Let's bring this to life with an example. Imagine you're in a room full of people and you have an idea to share, but you're worried it might sound silly. The doubt creeps in. What if they laugh? What if I'm wrong? Stoic courage doesn't silence those doubts, it acknowledges them and then says, "So what? Speak anyway." That's the essence of Stoic practice. It's not about pretending you're fearless, it's about choosing to act despite the fear. Now, take a moment to reflect on your own life. What doubt is currently holding you back? Is it a fear of rejection, a worry about failure, or something else entirely? Whatever it is, ask yourself, what would it look like to face that doubt with courage? Not to erase it, but to move forward anyway. This is where the Stoic approach becomes truly transformative. Courage isn't just a virtue, it's a habit, something we can cultivate through practice. Every time you choose to act despite your doubts, you're strengthening that muscle. And over time, those small acts of courage add up, helping you build a life that's not ruled by fear but guided by purpose. Clarity comes when we strip away the unnecessary. Think about it. How often do we let the clutter of our lives, both physical and mental, cloud our judgment and amplify our doubts? The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that a simple, focused life is not just a choice but a path to inner peace and confidence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This isn't just a poetic statement, it's a call to action. By removing the distractions that pull us in countless directions, we create space for clarity and certainty to grow. Take, for example, the act of decluttering. It's not just about tidying up your home or workspace, it's about clearing the mental noise that comes with excess. When you let go of things you don't need, whether it's old belongings, unnecessary commitments, or even toxic relationships, you're not just simplifying your surroundings. You're giving yourself permission to focus on what truly matters. The Stoics would argue that every distraction you eliminate is a step toward silencing the doubts that arise from feeling overwhelmed or scattered. But simplification goes beyond physical clutter. It's also about streamlining your thoughts and priorities. When you're constantly juggling too many tasks or ideas, doubts creep in because you're spread too thin. Instead, try focusing on one thing at a time. Ask yourself, what's essential right now? By narrowing your focus, you reduce the mental chaos that fuels uncertainty. This doesn't mean ignoring everything else. It means giving your full attention to what's most important in the moment. So, what can you simplify to silence your doubts? Maybe it's your schedule, your environment, or even your expectations of yourself. Start small. Identify one area of your life where you feel pulled in too many directions and take a step towards simplifying it. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. As you practice this, you'll find that clarity doesn't come from adding more to your life, but from removing what no longer serves you. And in that space, confidence begins to grow. Patience is the quiet strength that outlasts doubt. In Stoicism, patience isn't just about waiting, it's about cultivating a mindset that allows you to endure challenges without losing your inner calm. The Stoics believed that patience is one of the core virtues, a tool to help us navigate the uncertainties of life with grace and resilience. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Time heals what reason cannot." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that some doubts and struggles can't be resolved immediately through logic or action alone. Instead, they require the steady, unwavering commitment to let time and effort do their work. Think about a goal you've been working toward, maybe a career milestone, a creative project, or even a personal transformation. Doubts often creep in when progress feels slow or invisible. But Stoics would argue that this is exactly when patience becomes your greatest ally. By embracing patience, you're not just waiting passively, you're actively trusting the process, knowing that growth and clarity often come in their own time. It's about understanding that some things can't be rushed, and that's okay. Take, for example, planting a tree. You can't dig the soil, plant the seed, and expect a full-grown tree the next day. It takes time for the roots to grow deep and the branches to stretch toward the sky. Similarly, overcoming doubt isn't always about immediate solutions. Sometimes it's about giving yourself the space to grow, learn, and adapt as you move forward. So, what doubt in your life might require patience to overcome? Is it a career decision you're unsure about, a relationship that needs time to heal, or a personal goal that feels out of reach? Reflect on how patience, not as a passive waiting, but as an active, intentional practice, could help you navigate that uncertainty. By adopting this Stoic virtue, you're not just silencing doubt for the moment, you're building the resilience to face it with confidence, no matter how long it takes. Let's take a moment to bring everything together. Throughout this video, we've explored how Stoic principles can help you silence doubts and build unshakable confidence. At the heart of it all is the dichotomy of control, understanding what's within your power and what isn't. This single idea can free you from the weight of uncertainty, allowing you to focus your energy on what truly matters, your thoughts, actions, and responses. Then we looked at cognitive reframing, a powerful tool for transforming how you see challenges. By shifting your perspective, you can turn obstacles into opportunities and doubts into stepping stones. And finally, we talked about resilience, the Stoic art of standing firm in the face of adversity, knowing that every setback is a chance to grow stronger. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words remind us that confidence isn't about controlling the world around us, it's about mastering the world within us. When you embrace these Stoic practices, you're not just silencing doubts, you're building a foundation of inner strength that no external force can shake. Now, I want to leave you with a question. How can you apply these principles in your own life? Whether it's reframing a difficult situation, practicing gratitude for what you control, or simply reminding yourself of your resilience, small steps can lead to profound changes. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more insights on Stoicism and personal growth. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you plan to use Stoic techniques to silence your doubts? Drop a comment below and let's keep the conversation going. Remember, the journey to confidence starts with a single step, and you've already taken it by being here